Alex Kurtzman tells The Hollywood Reporter that Patrick Stewart's fan-favorite captain has a new life following dissolution of the Romulan Star Empire. I don't know how those things are related to one another, but it's related. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about some information that was released recently from a interview with The Hollywood Reporter, what is currently now labeled as Star Trek boss, aka Alex Kurtzman, which Star Trek boss just seems like a, I don't know, like a funny title to have. I'm the Star Trek boss. The boss. The Trek boss. Okay, so in this super lengthy article, which basically just spends most of its time recapping all the events, so we're not going to read this thing word for word. I just want to talk about a few key pieces of information that was released here. Number one being that Alex Kurtzman is saying that Picard's life was radically altered by the dissolution of the Romulan Star Empire. And how that could possibly be, why would it be radically different? I understand, like, you know, everybody would be affected by the loss of the Romulan Star Empire and the planet of Romulus and Remus together. But why would it radically be different? I don't know. My guess is that he's still shooken up about the death of Shinzon. I don't even know if they're going to talk about that because everybody hated that movie. This might be like a prequel situation where nobody mentions anything that really happened in the prequels except for like Hush Hush in Star Wars, you know? So they may only like Hush Hush reference his clone. I don't know if that's something they're going to talk about. That would be the most interesting thing. Is they're definitely going to have him back at the vineyard. They're definitely going to have him dealing with the fact that he doesn't have kids and he wasn't married. They're definitely going to have the fact that, you know, he's longing for the fact that he doesn't have any kind of lineage for the Picard family. These are all standard story plot elements that they're definitely going to have. I mean, I don't have insider information or anything like that, but I mean, you know, I'm just writing the script here for you folks. These things write themselves. So they could touch on the clone, and maybe that's something that shook him up, is because he felt bad about killing his clone, and now he has no family. And then right after that, Romulus was destroyed, and he had tried pretty decently to try to make sure that there was a peace accord between the Federation and the Romulans. And then what happened afterwards is the Romulan Star Empire fell apart. So I'm curious to see why it would be so radically different. I don't know what that means. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, what radically means, why it is so different. Maybe just because he went off and maybe he lives on, you know, a Romulan refugee camp, and maybe he's trying to help Romulans, and maybe he met a Romulan woman and they've settled down and they had a bunch of bald Romulan half-breed children. No, that would be ridiculous. That would actually be a new, unique idea, so we're not going to do that. That would be stupid. Okay, so we're moving on. The other thing that was really interesting about this article is that Kurtzman had to woo Sir Patrick Stewart into reprising his role. They originally reached out to his agent, and the agent came back saying Patrick is interested, but he wants to see what story elements that you guys may have. Write it down in about a 3-page document and release it back to us. Kurtzman and writer Michael Chabon, I'm not sure, who had signed on as well, screenwriter, signed on to pitch the story idea of a Picard-centric show. To their credit, they pieced together a 34-page document with no way to shorten it, according to them, which, that's impressive. You know, I mean, that to me, and at least to Sir Patrick, looks to show that they actually care about the show, to the extent of, we have so many great ideas, we're not just trying to come up with, you know, some BS reason to get the fan favorite Picard back just because everybody kind of doesn't like Discovery. On the whole, people are disappointed with Discovery's performance, so let's just go ahead and get Picard back to try to win over fans again. And I think that is something that Patrick Stewart was keenly aware of, and the reason I bring that piece up is this line right here, when Kurtzman had a meeting with Patrick Stewart in March 2018, he says, what he understood at that point, after reading the 34-page document, was that he was with people who desperately wanted to collaborate with him that weren't trying to exploit him. He knew if he was going to get back into Picard, he needed to be for the greatest reason ever. And so that, to me, tells me, number one, that I know that Patrick Stewart has for years said that he would go back to Picard, but it'd have to be for a very good reason. And the other thing being that I'm sure he's keenly aware of what's going on with Star Trek to the certain degree of, maybe he's not following it like the rest of us are, but perhaps even his agent is like, listen, Patty, I assume he calls him Patty, I don't know. Patty, this show is terrible now and people hate it, and we don't want you just getting utilized by CBS just to swoop in and try to save the entire friggin' show, and the franchise. It's not what we're here for, Patty. You're beautiful and people love you, and we don't want to see you taken advantage of. I don't know why his agent suddenly had like this weird accent, but you get the idea. So he's probably a little bit aware of that, and the fact that he read this 34-page document that these guys wrote and said, okay, this is something worth doing. This is what I've been talking about for years, for decades. This is what I'm saying. I'm only going to come back to this role if it's super, super important and for the greatest reason ever. And, you guys are sitting here turning this document in, and this is clearly worth it to me. That's his thought process. So, that's exciting to hear. I trust, Patrick Stewart doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the fame. He doesn't need the attention. He doesn't need any of this. He doesn't need the struggle and the stress that comes with doing a full production television show. So the fact that he's willing to do it and without actually getting really anything out of it other than the rewarding experience of finishing off a character that he started so many years ago is very exciting to see what that will actually look like. The other thing was that I do want to go ahead and touch on is the fact that Patrick Stewart wanted things to be, quote, I want it to be both what people remember, but also not what they're expecting, otherwise why do it? So again, we're going to get hit with this whole, confounding expectations thing, and we're going to flip your expectations on your head. That seems to be kind of the trend right now. Glorified in Star Wars The Last Jedi, that was, that was its own separate problems, but that was what their intent was. We're going to take what you think is going to happen, and we're going to invert it, and we're going to flip it, we're going to try to surprise you. Which, isn't a bad thing, as long as it's paid off in a way that people actually like. But, we'll see what that means. And also the fact that because, Sir Patrick is a bit older, he's not signing up for a 10-year, show run. He's going to sign up for a few years. We don't know exactly the full details of his agreement and how many seasons this particular show would have. My guess would either be one good season at, period, one contained storylines and then that's it, or it'll probably be 3 seasons long and they'll just wrap the whole thing up with probably 10 to 12 episode seasons. I think it's going to fall in between one of those two things. That's just my guess. I don't know. I've heard some rumors about it being a 4-season order, but, you don't really know until you really know, and we'll see what happens. And then, of course, can always change later. CBS can always change their mind and say, actually, forget it. We're not going to do 4 seasons. Nobody liked the show. We're going to do it in 2, and then we're going to cancel it. Who knows? I doubt that they would do that because everybody already hates CBS. So if they cancel the Picard show, I think people might actually burn down their headquarters in New York and in LA. Don't do that, though. I'm not condoning violence, so don't actually do that. So we have a lot of good things to look forward to in the Picard show. We have so many things, whether it's, the fact that, Patrick Stewart wants it to be something glorious, something amazing, something unexpected. And then you also have to consider the fact that these guys have a really great story idea. And then also the fact that the story itself is going to be short and contained to a character that we already know and love. So there's a lot of good things coming down the pipe for this particular show. What this means for the rest of Star Trek as a whole, I don't know. We do have the animated show Lower Decks coming, which supposedly is going to be geared towards kids, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a kid's show. I mean, there's been a lot of really great animated shows over the last 10, 15 years that were geared towards children, but also had a lot of adult themes and a lot of adult ideas that appealed to an adult audience. So it really just depends on how they skin that cat. And then, of course, we still have Star Trek Discovery, and then more short treks supposedly are coming, and hopefully they get better with time. I don't know. But that wraps this up, though. I'm just curious to hear what all of you guys and gals think about this information regarding the Picard show, because of the fact that they had to woo him and actually really entice him to come? Does that increase your excitement and your confidence in the Picard show, or do you still feel like because Kurtzman is at the helm that even with all these other parties involved that it's still going to kind of suck? I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about it, so please throw that comment down below and let me know what you think. So anyways, I appreciate all of you guys checking out this video, and please throw the old like and subscribe up if you enjoyed it, or a dislike if you hated it. So, that's it. I'll see all of you guys and gals next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies.